understand what potential hazards there are along the waterways which feed your particular system. People didn't know. And they couldn't or didn't feel like they could trust those in positions of authority to tell them accurately what those things were.
Again, I don't necessarily, I can't say with certainty that to arm the citizenry with that knowledge is a great thing. To tie it into the Twitter reaction, when you put unfettered data out there to people who do not necessarily know how to quantify and correlate that data, especially in an environment now where everyone is looking for something to be mad about, and they have a platform to at least feel that their emotions are being satisfied, can be a very dangerous thing. I think that if there is a concerned citizen who knows what they are looking for, or perhaps they are given some training on how to interpolate this data, then yes, absolutely. If someone wants to know, they should have the right to know. But to give it out to anyone who can use that for any purpose whatsoever, I just don't think that would be a positive for West Virginia.
Okay, so I'm Todd Petty. I'm a professor of aquatic sciences. I'm in the Wildlife and Fisheries Resources program. I teach classes in freshwater ecology and river ecology, as well as a class in fisheries management. So a lot of things having to do with water.
Okay, so let's take a look at this from like an educational standpoint. I'll try not to make this too broad, but could you sort of educate viewers on the role that water plays in West Virginia and how that kind of affects the rest of the East Coast and Southeast, and sort of talk about watersheds and other things that you sort of talked about in our class at the ecology meeting?
Right. So it's pretty hard to live long in West Virginia and not appreciate how much it rains. and so water is a prevalent feature in the state of West Virginia. And certainly some of its most remarkable places are its rivers. When we think about places like the New River or the Gauley River or the Cranberry River. And then when we couple that with some of the major river systems like the Monongahela River and the Kanawha River, places where historic conduits of coal and steel and major economic drivers in terms of industry.
My name's Thomas Goodman, and I live in Charleston, West Virginia, and I'm a railroad division manager for a recycling company.
All right, do that one more time for me.
My name's Thomas Goodman, and I live in Charleston, West Virginia, and I am a railroad division manager for a recycling company.
Perfect. So let's go back to almost a couple of years now in Charleston. You live in Charleston. You've been here for a few years. What was it like when you first found out? I know a lot of people found out via Twitter and other means, but when you first found out, what did you think was going on at the time?
When I first found out, I was actually in Ripley working that day.
One more time.
Sorry.
Sorry.
When I first found out about the water leak, I was actually in Ripley working for the day, and it was on Twitter. I just checked briefly, and there was a proclamation from Governor Tomblin that said, "Do not use the water in Charleston."
Okay, so let's go right back
Sure.
into the day you heard about this when you
Sure.
were going into commercial break, that whole setup.
Yeah, I was live on the air when the governor's first tweet went out basically announcing that this had happened. And at first, we didn't really know what that meant. I was on the set, I was anchoring, as I said, and so I immediately sent a note to our assignment editor and said, check into this, let's see what this is. And finished anchoring the rest of that segment of the newscast. During the commercial break, came out, checked in, we'd gotten a little more information. We'd confirmed that yes, this came from the governor's office and it is a do not use order, which is different than a boil water advisory, which is, I think, what a lot of people maybe wondered at first. Is this just a boil water advisory? We get those all the time. And it quickly became clear this was not a boil water advisory. This was something much more serious.